mic check, please.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ducks Unlimited podcast. I'm your host, Chris Jennings.
I'm your host, Dr. Mike Brasher.
My name is John Gordon. I'll be your host.
And I'm your host, Katie Burke.
Welcome to the Ducks Unlimited podcast, the only podcast about all things waterfowl. From hunting insights to science-based discussions about ducks, geese, and issues affecting waterfowl and wetlands conservation in North America. The DU Podcast, sponsored by Purina Pro Plan, the official performance dog food of Ducks Unlimited. Purina Pro Plan, always advancing.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Barstool Outdoors Times Ducks Unlimited. I'm Sydnie Wells for everybody listening and not knowing who I am. I've been on Ducks Unlimited podcast before. This is new to 2024 at Barstool Outdoors, so we are doing more visual podcasts. I know I've put some out before with my friend Alex, so we'll for sure see more of Alex and I, but then we're also going to be doing podcasts after our hunts. And I'm really excited because I got my friends from Ducks Unlimited here, my friends from Barstool Sports who came hunting for the very first time. So I'm going to go ahead and let everybody introduce themselves, and we're going to get right into it. We're in Arkansas, north of Stuttgart, and went duck hunting this morning, and it was absolutely epic.
All right, so I'm Matt Harrison, communication specialist for Ducks Unlimited. Also handle PR side of things. So it's been an awesome time today. Looking forward to tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I'm Mallori Murphey. I am DU's social media specialist and digital content editor.
I'm John Feitelberg. I do stuff.
He doesn't much stuff.
He does stuff.
Co-host of KFC Radio.
Yeah.
I'm the Wonton Don, Barstool's foreign correspondent and resident Rangoon chef.
And I'm Dr. Mike Brasher. I'm senior waterfowl scientist for Ducks Unlimited out of our national headquarters in Memphis, Tennessee, and co-host of the Ducks Unlimited podcast. And it is awesome to be here with y'all. Sydnie, with you, this is like the third time that we've done some of this kind of stuff together. And this co-branded episode for us, super excited about it. There's like a story of how this came to be. We don't have to go all the way back like 2 or 3 years ago, but in terms of this particular hunt, this growing partnership between Barstool Outdoors and Ducks Unlimited, I want Matt and you to kind of talk about that, the importance of it to Ducks Unlimited, the importance of it to Barstool Outdoors. Take it away, Matt.
All right, so like you said, this is a super long story, so I'm going to condense it. Long story short is me and Sydnie actually met each other in Oklahoma at Crash Landing Outdoors. I was doing some filming there. So we hit it off there. Then I ran into her.
Wait, that's the day that I also got hired at Barstool Sports, I'm pretty sure.
Was it really?
Yeah. So Dave and I talked via Zoom, and I got the job. He's like, okay, we're going to hire you.
So that was pretty much her first day at Barstool. I met her. I was working for myself at the time. But anyway, so we exchanged contacts, whatever. Then a couple months later, we ran into each other again at the NWTF convention in Nashville. And this is literally the craziest story ever. So I saw Sydnie, and I was walking around. I was like, you know what? I'm about to do some mic'd up videos with my wireless mic. I was like, I'm just going to walk around, interview people, do whatever.
You were just organic, total
literally
social media stuff at that point.
Correct. I was working for myself. Crazy. Literally, I was just like, well, I'm just going to create some stuff. So I'm walking around with my mic, and I see Sydnie over there. I was like, I'm going to go say hey to her. So I walked up, and she sees my mic, and she's like, I'm about to do mic'd up stuff too. She's like, you want to do it together? And I was like, let's do it. So we found what kind of foot was it?
It was a crane foot.
It was a crane foot. Somebody had harvested a crane.
Yeah, and so we taped it up as a mic.
Literally, we hooked the wireless mic on this crane foot, and we ran around NWTF convention asking questions to people, just off the wall questions.
Yeah.
And
Jack,
these videos, how many millions of views did they end up getting?
A lot.
Tens of millions of views. It just blew up. So anyway, we did some, of course, videos at the convention there. So blew up on social media. And then Mallori at the time, which, like she mentioned earlier, our social media manager, I had no connection to Ducks Unlimited whatsoever. Mallori just shot a shot, sent a DM to Barstool Outdoors, which is Sydnie.
I let my intrusive thought win at 10 a.m. one morning.
She just said, I'm going to shoot my shot.
I was scrolling through, and I saw the crane foot. Y'all were popping out of some blinds. Fake shooting.
We may or may not have gotten a blind and just scared people.
And I was like, dang, that looks so much fun. This is exactly what Ducks Unlimited needs. And I was like, I let my intrusive thought win. I didn't ask my manager. I didn't ask anybody, and I just slid into the DMs. Long story short, it worked out.
It worked out. So she contacted Sydney. Sydney was like, let's do it. So Sydney calls me just off the cuff. She was like, Matt, Ducks Unlimited just reached out, wants us to come create the same type of videos at their expo in Fort Worth. What do you think? I was like, I'm down. So she's like, all right, here's the dates. Boom, we get in and go. And same thing there as well. Videos just went crazy viral. I was able to actually meet our CEO, Adam Putnam, our president at the time, as well. So I've got to meet Dr. Mike. I got to meet a lot of cool people. And then weeks later, I ended up getting a direct message on Instagram from somebody who worked with Ducks Unlimited, making another connection there. And they were like, hey, we would love for you to possibly come and interview for a job. So I did, and rest is history. So I'm with Ducks Unlimited now.
Yeah,
so
he accepted it.
I know. And then this is year 2 that we've hunted together. So we were in Arkansas last year. It was my first time ever hunting Arkansas with them and ever. Last year, it was a lot of fun. Shout out to Chuck.
Shout out to Karen, Dr. Karen.
And Dr. Karen, we miss you. Matt didn't invite you. What the heck? So we're going to clip this, put this on Ducks Unlimited.
That
We
is
miss
not
you.
true.
We're going squirrel hunting, and I think the guys want to come, so we're going to do that. But yeah, and then this year has been awesome. We hunted this morning. We have Fights and Donnie. I'm so excited because they both wanted a duck hunt. I was actually surprised Fights actually was man enough to come out and do it.
Man enough. Oh, man enough. I got a stray like that. No, you're I mean, it's a fair stray. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, until I was in the water this morning, I was still like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know if I'm going to pull a trigger with a duck. I don't know if I have it in me. Turns out I did have it in me. The second I saw a duck, I was like, light it up.
I want to come back to that here in a little bit, but go ahead.
It was just awesome, though, because we're the Bill Byers Hunt Club, which is crazy in its own that we're able to hunt here. Very, very, very fortunate that they invited us, and then they invited Ducks Unlimited. Ducks Unlimited invited us. However, that worked out. We got an invite, and we're like, woohoo, we're going.
Was there any part of you that's very nervous? And not just on this video, but other videos we do to introduce. I kind of think of it as like introducing your high school friends to your college friends. When you bring a non-hunter,
very, very good
where you're like,
example.
I hope they get along. Like, I like both these people individually, but like they might
not mix.
They might not mesh.
To be honest, like I didn't know the guys here at the club, so I was a little nervous about that. Not really nervous, but like I've done videos with you guys before. I knew your personalities, and then I obviously knew these guys, so I was like, I feel comfortable, and I knew they would definitely help. I mean, I preface like they know absolutely nothing. Like we have to get
we got that
them
clarified yesterday. It's like,
yes, I called them. I'm like, listen, we need safety top. They did their hunter safety courses. You guys knew what it was all about. You passed your test, so that's good. But I'm like, I'm just nervous. Like they need rundowns.
Yeah.
And I knew after they're like, we'll take care of it. I was like, okay. Well, I was a little nervous just because we're duck hunting. It's not like we're fishing.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the duck hunting. I'll speak for myself, as I always do. That this morning, like I didn't know anything about what was gonna happen, and like this morning when we got up at 5:30, 5 a.m., whatever time it was, I was. We get in the truck and we're driving in the bed of the truck.
Totally dark.
I'm sorry,
no lights.
Completely dark.
Right? That's the other thing.
Complete dark. No headlights. No anything. I was in my head. I don't know about you. I was like, we're going to kill Bin Laden. Like I was fully war mode. Like it's game on.
Had your face paint.
The second we were like, I was like, oh, there aren't headlights on. It was. I saw like the smoke rising off the field.
Six,
like,
we're going dark. I didn't even want to take out my phone because I was like, is the phone light going to scare all the ducks away?
Yeah.
I think you guys definitely were like, let's go, game on. And wait, I think it was you and I, Dr. Mike, that we talked like, who do we think's going to say that they're cold first? And I never heard either one of them.
Never. We took a bet on that too.
It was
and
me.
we never heard it.
I was the one, but
he did about his
it was
hands.
my hands. My hands lose circulation fast.
I guess that you would have said it first.
I'm pretty good with cold.
You do ski though. I should have thought about that.
I ski. I play hockey. I'm pretty solid with cold.
Yeah, I should.
Actually, Dr. Mike tried to give me his hand warmer.
And so even as late as this morning, you and I were talking about, well, what about warm socks? Do they have warm
Literally,
socks?
that's what
about gloves? We were kind of scrounging up some gloves. Turned out you really didn't need the gloves, and of course, you shooting
Donnie
with gloves on. Not all that
Donnie
great.
all
brought
three
my
knots.
gloves, but
Yeah.
It also helps too. As a waterfowl hunter, when you got constant birds working, you're not really thinking about it. If it would have been a slow morning, we probably all would have been freezing cold.
I mean, the moment we hit shooting time,
It was
there
game on.
there was gunfire right away, and then it didn't stop the entire time we were
It
out.
was right off the bat, too. We probably arrived and were shooting ducks within 10 minutes.
Literally.
Yeah.
As soon as shooting time hit, boom.
Kudos to you two, because we went through the safety deal last night, and the environment in which you walked into, like if you haven't shot a gun a lot, it is an intimidating thing, right? Let's not joke around about it. But to go into that situation, the first time you've ever gone hunting in the dark, in the water, that's a totally foreign environment. Y'all did a fabulous job
really
with
did.
your safety, always being mindful
really
of muzzle direction and all that. So great job, guys.
Well, you guys made it easy for us to get into it quickly because you guys are very good at lying to us about how well we're doing.
Well, my favorite part is a duck would come in
You
like,
guys are
"Y'all
doing
killing
great.
it."
I still think I did.
Like, I'm a regular sportsman. This is easy.
All right, so look, I got to tell this story. So this morning, this one duck comes in, and old Wonton Don, he's just like, well, bam! And I was like, yeah, you killed it.
dropped.
You killed it. And he goes, did I really kill that? I was like, yeah, you did. You did.
It seemed a little too easy.
He was like, are you sure?
I'm still not sure, but
Y'all
me and Donnie said when we got to shooting skeet later, we were like, if we don't hit it, I think Donnie said, if we don't hit anything today, I don't know about this. And we didn't,
I don't know if we can
didn't
claim the
thrive on the
ducks.
skeet course.
Yeah.
That was one of the funniest moments. I think it was after you had shot, maybe you had shot, and then you had shot, and both of you had missed. I think you turned around and said, yeah, Don, I don't think we hit any of those ducks.
No, that's
You owned it.
exactly. I was behind you guys with Matt and watching, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Feitelberg definitely smoked that bird. I'm like, you shot that. He's like, I don't think I did. I'm like, are you confident? And you're like,
Yeah,
it was not me. And I'm like, okay.
To be fair to me, I have. It's weird. I have, according to doctors, fine eyes. But when I golf, I need someone with me to be like, tell me where that ball went. I got no idea where that ball went. I can't see things. But it turns out bullets or shells and golf balls are invisible to me. I have no idea where they go. Probably not a great thing to know. You want to know where both those things go.
Yes. Very important.
No, it was so fun, like just listening to you guys and then actually getting the terms. Like you stop saying clip.
I stopped saying clip. I mean, it's still a cool thing to say when you're out hunting ducks.
He was over
I'm about
there.
to empty the clip.
Ducks would come in, he would only shoot once. And I'm like, he's only shooting once over there. And he finally goes, I can shoot more than once. He said, I can empty my clip on these ducks. I was like, yeah, empty your clip.
If at first you miss, try again.
Yeah,
I was curious why Donnie was holding the shotgun crooked the whole time.
So Feitelberg, I was standing beside you, and so whoever was standing by Don, I want to hear some of this. But you mentioned a minute ago you weren't sure if you were going to be able to pull the trigger, and I don't think that's necessarily uncommon for people that haven't been associated with hunting, because let's be honest, you're trying to kill an animal, right? And so I don't know how you process that in your mind, but I think the energy around the morning made that a lot easier, because I don't think you really hesitated when it came to that moment.
It really came down to you're right. It was 100% energy, and then I guess instinct.
It's instinct.
Like
Our ancestors did it. Like you find not broadheads. You find arrowheads. Like it's our ancestors in our blood. Like it's instinctive. Like we're a predator.
It's not something obviously that took up a ton of space in my mind, but there was occasionally I've known I was going to do this for a month, 2 months, something like that. There were occasionally where I'd bring it up to somebody, be a family member at Christmas or something like that. Where I was like, well, hunting, like none of my family hunts, obviously. So like, you're gonna hunt, you're gonna kill. I was like, I think so. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna react until I'm in the moment. And it was pretty easy. It was not easy to hit, but easy to pull the trigger.
But I think it is. I think it is the whole like step. It's like the routine. Like you guys were prepped before, the safety. Like it's a lot more than just like let's pick up a gun and go.
Yeah. No, I actually genuinely I read to that point two things I thought were going to be. No, one thing I thought was going to be a burden, and one I was unsure about. One, I thought I wasn't going to enjoy the license. I thought it was going to be like, ugh, this stinks. And I actually really enjoyed taking
Hunter's
that. I learning the hunter safety exam and all that. I liked being quizzed. I liked learning about sort of sportsmanship and things like that. And then I think shooting with Dr. Mike really helped as well. Like not helped, but I found it so interesting how knowledgeable and how smart you are about everything.
Well, I think several of us made this comment to you guys, is that the only thing better than hunting for us is taking someone else hunting and watching them enjoy it and experience that. And you said, well, that's a relief because I was worried that I was going to be a burden, be an inconvenience. Absolutely not at all. We love this opportunity.
That's my worry every time I step into a room. I'm about to be a burden.
Seeing Donnie this morning.
Sad boy hours.
Seeing Donnie this morning, seriously, like as soon as it got shooting light and all those ducks, we were just working so many groups of ducks and like just watching him and watching his eyes and watch. I don't know if he was shaking because it was so cold. Or he was that was
excited. The cold, but I was very excited.
I'm sure it was the cold, but just seeing like his excitement for that, like I love shooting ducks, I love chasing ducks, but seeing somebody get excited about experiencing that for the first time, it's serious. It's second to none. It's second.
So
to none.
I've been trying to hunt ducks for the last 4 years, and this is my first chance. And it's kind of like I've always loved eating duck, so I've been like, you know what? If I'm going to eat so much duck, I should be able to go out and hunt one myself. And like I had killed a chicken before, so I knew I'd be able to pull the trigger. Maybe if we were out hunting elk or something, I'd be like, I don't know, this is going to be crazy. That's a very large mammal. But I mean, I was ready to kill some ducks today. And
you did.
I think I did. Yeah.
And so how do you feel like you were like consciously ready to do that and then you did it and you cooked tonight for us?
Yeah. I mean,
life came full circle.
Oh yeah, we cooked
Keeps that thing on.
So for those that are just listening, for those on the Ducks Unlimited podcast that are just listening to this, you can go see the video on Barstool's YouTube.
Watch the video.
Pulled a duck rangoon out of his shirt, basically,
16
and is now eating it right here.
Guys,
You can probably hear the crunch.
I have to say, wild duck tastes better than duck I've had at any restaurant in the past.
Oh wow!
This man just pulled out a rangoon out of his shirt. That's been sitting there for at least 20 minutes.
I got that goon gut.
Yeah, so you guys came full circle for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Ever, especially for you. I mean, you kill a chicken, so you've done a little bit of circle of life, but
I never have, and I honestly even more so than the hunt itself, which I love saying. I love saying the hunt. I thought it's. I guess I don't play much golf either, but I know they kind of talk about that with a verb versus a noun. Like you don't ever go golfing, like you play golf.
Yeah,
you're on the hunt. I learned that in reading in the safety guides and stuff like that. They're always like on your hunt. I was like, that's cooler than hunting.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed very much being on the hunt today. But even more so than that, in my months-long processing of this whole thing, I was thinking how, and this was actually in the exam as well, where I was reading about field dressing and stuff like that, and I was thinking, I don't know, man. They say so many times I got to cut around the anus in this exam. This is tough, dude. I don't know.
And it's in waterfowl, it's a cloaca.
A cloaca.
There you go.
And then today when I went out and I saw Dr. Mike field dressing, or is it field dressing still? What we were doing?
Sure. Yeah. Dressing. You don't have to necessarily field dress waterfowl the way you do with deers, like eviscerating with large big game. You eviscerate, or you can kind of leave the guts behind. Waterfowl, you just take the entire bird, but dressing.
So
you dress it.
Yeah, because like in the field, you will gut them, and so it's
pull the
just,
esophagus, the entrails will fall out. I did my studying.
I'm proud.
But I found that very interesting as well, where just watching you kind of break it down scientifically was pretty cool. Which, now that I say it out loud, gives me pause, because I don't know if anyone here ever watched the show Dahmer on Netflix, but there's a moment where he's fishing with his father, and he's cleaning the fish, and he's got the flesh in his hand, and you can tell he has a realization, like, this is going to be a problem for me. And I guess I maybe wish I disliked a little more out there, but it was good.
You might be a little crazy, fights.
I will say that was one of the most exciting moments I had leading up to this, is when we were trying to figure out which of you were who was going to be coming, because as I was talking about earlier, Barstool has so much content, so many people, and I was like, who are the people that are going to be coming with us? And so I went online and tried to learn a little bit more about you. And so then we got to talking about you wanting to do some duck rangoon, which meant that we would be cleaning some of the birds. And obviously, I got really excited about that. That's one of the things that I also enjoy so much is introducing folks to that aspect of it, because it's more than just the hunt, right? You hunt to harvest the birds, but then you take the birds back. You appreciate every aspect of it. And Don, you got right in there and got your hands dirty, and we were plucking those birds. And we actually have some fat rendering over there on the stove right now. That was an awesome experience to be able to share that with you guys and kind of talk about some of the biology of the birds as we did so.
So this is a full circle, because you just made me think of something about when you asked, like, if I was nervous to bring you guys. I remember asking Matt, I was like, do you want me to just bring some of my friends that are hunters and then come hang out with us and shoot and film content? I'll just film like a normal show. And he's like, no, I think we really want to do like one of your out of offices, like with people who've never done it before. And I was like, okay, that makes me feel good, because they know I'm not the one being like, well, we got these two guys that have never done this. Like, they were very interested in doing that, which I love. That's why I love you guys at Ducks Unlimited, because you're so into bringing new people in, and a lot of people in our industry are, but I think we're trying to like really prove that you don't really. We'll critique you guys in your own way, but we're not going to be very negative on you. And
no negativity.
And that's what we talked about this morning, is like bringing people in to hunting in general, not just waterfowl hunting, but hunting in general. We want people to understand the importance hunters bring to conservation, right? And we want y'all to experience the camaraderie, the laughs that we had, not just hunting out there, but the last 24 hours we've been together. We've laughed, we've cooked, we've joked, we've shot skeet, we've hunted. All that's based around a duck hunt, right? And we want future generations to experience that. And if we don't do our part as conservationists and conserve and restore and manage wetlands and other habitat, one day this isn't going to be available. It's not. And so we want people to understand, like, hey, even if you're not a hunter's and like, I want to go kill this elk, or I want to go kill all these ducks, realize that you play a part in conservation. And getting people to understand that, that's what I'm passionate about. I want new people that have never pulled a trigger on anything. It's not about pulling the trigger. Like, yeah, I want you to harvest a duck whenever y'all come in. Yeah, I want us to have a good time, but I want y'all to realize the importance. Ducks Unlimited is right at 20 million acres conserved. 20 million.
Wow.
Like, think about that DU has had a hand in helping conserve for wildlife. And that is nuts. And I want people to understand that and realize why Dr. Mike does what he does, why Mallori does what she does. Why, right? And so bringing y'all in brand new, slate's clear, you have no idea what to expect. And what better way to do that with Ducks Unlimited, to learn why hunters are so important to conservation.
I think all that speaks to why I've probably enjoyed it so much. Like, if my knowledge of hunters started in it before this weekend, started and ended with Elmer Fudd. Like, that's all I know. We're hunting wagons. It's just kill. And had we shown up and that had been the vibe, I probably been like, this is a little much. 100%, but having you guys explain and teach us, and you were speaking to the camaraderie and all that, where being from New England, I feel very much like this has been like a ski weekend, which is kind of. And I love ski weekends. That where I don't know if it's the layering or the cold or the lodge, the wood, like all this whole weekend, the cooking. I've been like, I'm just skiing. I've done this a million times actually. It's just a different activity aside from skiing.
It was so cool just being in a new environment as well. Like, I had never been in flooded woods like that before. And me and Feitelberg had never been to Arkansas, so it's cool to see a new landscape in the U.S. And like, a crazy thing about the hunt is that our first shot was at some ducks. Like, we didn't wake up in the morning and do some target practice.
Yeah, we didn't hit the range.
Some skeet. We just woke up and started shooting
to the fire.
But you guys felt pretty comfortable because both of them were next to you, making sure you guys.
And we had like perfect equipment, and the shotguns we were using were pretty simple to figure out. I'd say. Yeah.
Yep. Shout out to Benelli for
yes, Benelli. Shout out to Benelli, Winchester, Drake for supplying the gear. This is the top notch gear in the industry that they either gave to y'all or loaned to us. So shout out to those brands.
But probably the reason we didn't get cold.
Yeah, exactly. But no, seriously, y'all did so good this morning. And I'm not just saying this because we're on a podcast to make you feel better. I'm going to give you one example of why I got comfortable and how I can prove to y'all I did is, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but about middle way through the hunt, I left you, right?
Yep, same.
I went to another tree and I let you do it on your own. And you may not even notice that, but like, if I was like, he can't do it, then I would have been like, I'm no way, shape, or form leaving
I
you with
did
the
tell
gun.
Donnie too. I was like, hey, I'm right here.
Correct.
Just in
And
case.
we let them kind of, do, and we came back to the tree and we check on you, give you shells or whatever. But like, I watched Donnie, like, he was like, I loaded his gun the first time or two just because I wanted him to shoot, right? And then he shot. Then I was like, okay, you do it. Literally, first try, he's like, okay, here we go. Boom. Threw one in the chamber, 2 in the mag, and he was ready to go. And I was like, you got it. So I stood there with him a little bit longer. Then I kind of let you on your own. I was even able to take my gun off the tree and shoot a couple times too. So I'm not just saying this to kind of make y'all feel good and say it on camera to be like, oh, it's such a good time. But seriously, like in the morning, I don't even have to wake up and be like, oh, okay, I've got to babysit them with the gun, right? Like, y'all crushed it. Y'all really did.
Loading the gun.
You may not have hit something, but you definitely crushed it in general.
You crushed it.
Which is great. I mean, I'm a vibes guy. That's all.
It was good vibes. You were safe. You put the safety on.
And
Yeah.
we never pointed the gun at each other.
No.
Yeah.
Awareness was
That was one I was.
Never heard that
It's
early
huge.
safety clip. Never heard
Yeah.
any of it.
No, I didn't
No.
hear it. It's good because we did the conversation the night before. We did the education, which is important for anybody. I think that's like really important because the past 2 trips I've been on when we waterfowl hunt, like I've been with a whole group of experts and we had a safety talk, which I think is important. We should all do that because we can forget, especially as people have done it so much. We forget, and some people can get lazy. So just having those continuous talks, and even if I feel like some people go on a hunt, it's important to just be like, hey, let's do a refresher really quick.
Before. I want to ask y'all one question each, okay? What was your favorite part about the morning hunt? Like, what stuck out to you the most in general?
The morning ride. I haven't felt adrenaline like that probably since I stopped playing sports.
In the boat or the whole thing?
From the truck to the boat to setting up the decoys, which I didn't do, but just like watching it all unfold. I was really in my head thinking, like, we're locked in. Like this, let's do this. Let's do this.
My favorite moment was the first time I saw a duck drop. I don't know if it was my shot that dropped
That's it. That's
but
you.
you came up to me. You were like, "Oh, you just dropped that, Don!" And then all of a sudden, I forgot about the fact I couldn't feel my hands, and I was having a blast.
They're definitely the first time I maybe not, who knows, hit a duck too. I remember turning around and Sydnie being like, you nailed that.
Yeah.
And as adults, you don't really get moments of like euphoria and excitement anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, you do a good job at work. Someone says, hey, nice work. And that's about it. There's no really like, yeah. So
No,
Bunch of 30, 40-year-olds.
you will. It's not a high. It's a high.
yeah, right.
It's an adrenaline rush. It's an adrenaline rush
chemistry.
of a high that you are going to consistently and constantly want to chase the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like
I
imagine,
texted my dad and my brother. I didn't tell anyone
No.
while we were out there. And
That's awesome.
I sent the
That's
pictures
awesome.
and I was like, because where I'm from in Massachusetts, I'm from kind of the country-ish, and there's duck hunting out there. And I texted them both. I said, we got to go duck hunting.
Wow. Isn't that awesome?
That's
Like, that
awesome.
gives me almost chills.
And
Like,
they
that's
were both
awesome.
like, that's because I was sending them videos of us in the boat, and they were both right away. Again, non-hunters whatsoever, and they're like, if you say it's in, we're in. Let's do
And
it.
see, getting you involved, now you get others involved, and that's why we do it.
And people are going to listen to this, and I
Yeah.
guarantee you're going to get some DMs now and be like, I want to take you. We can go do this, go do that.
Yeah.
Make sure these people are safe. Make sure they're not going to kill you.
Do your research.
Do your research. But like, there's some people that are going to be out there or in New York or Mass or wherever on the East Coast, and they're going to be like, "Hey, come hunt." And you're going to be like, "Okay,
Yeah.
make sure it's legal. And call your local DNR and be like, "Hey, what do I need if I'm going to go do this?" And they'll be like, "Hey, make sure you get this, this, and this," or you can look it up on the catalog. Just do that. You want to be, legal.
Yes.
And they'll take you. Seriously, like that's going to be great. I'm excited about that. I love this like series of Out of Office because it just makes me so happy. Like I always say it. I say it all the time. So if you listen to me, you're like, okay, you said this like the 100th time now. But when Dave killed that deer, like watching you guys shoot those ducks, like it's literally makes me have like a euphoric moment because I'm like, this is so great. They're having so much fun, and we've been doing it all since we were little.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that my favorite part of the hunt was me and you, for some reason, we were on the right tree. The wind was set up perfect, right at shooting light. Ducks are coming straight towards us. We popped off our few first ones, and then they came over and was like, "Hey, let's get him on this tree." No, we're like, all right, hey,
no. Me and
let's
you were
duck
like,
off.
I said, Matt, let's go. Like, I was like, hey, you guys come over here because I'm like, okay, they're all
And then
gonna
we
be
just
on
sat
that.
back and we just watched. You were like, yeah, let's go.
It is. It's hard for me to weirdly understand because I
So
think
that
of
was
myself.
my favorite part. Was like, yeah, I just sat there and I just literally sat back. On the
It is
tree,
so
just watched
fun
y'all the
watching-
entire time. I'm pretty sure I left my gun unloaded, hanging on the tree. That way, I just sit back and watch everybody.
Like watching people enjoy something you
Yeah.
enjoy.
You forget,
is-
people have been doing this for so long. You forget sort of that first time feeling. You're like, wow, I'm 30 years old and this is so exciting.
It'd be like
Someone
maybe
else
you
do
teaching
this.
somebody how to like ski or like play hockey, and it's like you teaching us how to wrap wontons.
That was fun. Yeah.
And now we all know the song.
It's nice to feel like that sort of rejuvenation.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
This is teaching.
It's
the
almost.
next
It's also
person about all
confirmation to you
this.
where you're like, you're right. I'm not nuts. This is awesome.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
not
love it because you're gonna go. You guys are gonna go back. You're going back to Chicago. You're gonna go back to New York, and you're like, this was awesome.
Yeah.
And, like,
people that
everybody-
may have been like, hunting, you're gonna be like, no, like this is you're educating people now.
Yeah.
What you've gone through, and that means a lot to us because it's like, did you guys even know we needed a license before we came out
No,
here?
I figured it was kind
For
of like
ducks,
an
I
18
like
plus
assumed
thing.
Maybe they would just let anyone. But I don't know. I know that's
Yeah.
not the case.
Stay tuned to the Ducks Unlimited podcast, sponsored by Purina Pro Plan, after these messages.
And that's a good point to talk about, Dr. Mike. Talk a little
Yeah.
bit about like the federal duck
Yep.
stamp.
Yeah.
What their dollars go.
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. And that's a great segue because I wanted to come back to that. 'Cause
Okay,
We were
yeah.
talking about conservation earlier, and there's a lot to unpack in the role of hunters, and there's a lot to unpack
Yeah.
there. We got we got 7 of us around here. Am I doing the math? 6 of us. 6 of us that hunted. I mean, that's 6 licenses that were purchased, 6 federal duck stamps that were purchased, 6 state waterfowl stamps that were purchased, and a whole bunch of gear that was purchased, a whole bunch of activities that support local economies. Waterfowl hunters in general contribute just by the purchasing of licenses and gear, contribute billions of dollars to conservation every year. We could talk about the Pittman-Robertson Act, which is an 11% excise tax on firearms, ammunition, archery. Same thing is sort of in play for fisheries, for fishing tackle and boat motor fuel through the Dingell-Johnson Act. Billions of dollars that go back to the states to help them manage these resources, conserve the habitats that provide, that support wildlife, and all sorts of recreational opportunities. So just by hunting and purchasing those licenses, you have contributed to the conservation of acres and other activities that will support waterfowl and all sorts of other wildlife in the states. And the federal duck stamp is at the federal level, 98 cents it's a $25 stamp. It's required for everyone over 16 years of age to purchase if you can hunt waterfowl. 98 cents out of every dollar goes to habitat conservation. A significant portion of that goes to the prairie pothole region, which is probably where most of those ducks came from that we shot today.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the most important breeding area for waterfowl in all of North America. It is Ducks Unlimited's number one priority is conserving wetlands and grasslands in that prairie pothole region, which is essentially the prairie states of North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and then the prairie provinces.
That's where they go for the summers?
That's where a significant portion of them will go during this. They'll migrate back in the spring, and that's where they will nest and breed. And they'll go on up into the boreal forest. And I don't want to get too far down into an ecology biology
Okay,
lesson
Very
because I will if you let me.
But this is good for them. This is good.
Yeah,
This is
I mean,
good.
I had to stop myself several times whenever we were talking because I'm like, okay, there's another little trail that we could go down. But
Talk about even just like the private land. Like we're at Bill Byers.
That's right. That's the
Private
other
land is
thing
so
that
important.
is involved in hunters. So we talked earlier about the state and federal agencies. They own land. They manage that land. It's public land. But then the other thing, we are here at Bill Byers Hunter Club. It is a working rice farm. We've talked about the importance earlier today of rice for wintering waterfowl, but beyond that, private landowners do most of the habitat for wildlife in North America is on private land. Some states, over 90% of the wildlife habitat is on private land. A lot of private landowners will invest their own resources, their own finances into enhancing that habitat. Yes, they do it to hunt, a lot of them, but but it also provides, like after we left today, we saw those ducks that went back out there into that water, into those fields. They got food. They sought safety. They found mates to pair up with. That habitat, the same habitat that we hunted, they use after the hunt, and it is what helps them do the things that they need to do whenever they go back north. So private landowners are absolutely crucial, and I don't know if we have fully quantified from an economic standpoint or from an ecological standpoint the contributions that private landowners make through their, in many ways, philanthropic investments through the management of their land. Then there are also a lot of our Ducks Unlimited members and other conservation organizations that have huge supporters, philanthropic supporters, many of whom are hunters that give $30, $35, $100, $10,000, and millions of dollars philanthropically to support the work that we and others do.
And then this is a question that you guys don't also probably know the answer to. Do you even know like the migration of ducks? Like why we might be seeing a lot of ducks and why we might not be seeing very many.
And also which flyway we're in. There's flyways.
I know
That
birds fly
I'll
south
give you $100.
when it
Correct.
gets cold. That's all I know.
But Dr. Mike, talk a little bit more about
Give us a little
what,
summary.
and it, like Dr. Mike said, you can run down any of these holes. But so there's 4 major flyways, right?
You go.
And no,
You take it.
no,
You take
I
it.
know. I want the more
No,
scientific answer
don't.
with
You
this.
take it.
No, Dr. Mike, you got this. Seriously, I want you to dive into just a little bit about how. So we hunted dabbling ducks, majority, right? Like we didn't see. We got a canvas back here that
You
I
gotta
quizzed you
explain
on.
it from think of that nobody. who's
So
listening
you've
knows.
got, and I don't want to speak wrong terminology here, but you've got divers and you got dabblers. Okay, so majority of your ducks around which flyway we're hunting are dabbling ducks, and I'm gonna let you talk about this in just a second because look, he's grinning. He knows that if I say one thing, he's gonna pounce on me. So we hunted dabbling ducks, right? So Dr. Mike, I want you to talk a little bit about just the flyways, and you can just generally hit the topics and kind of which species of ducks kind of like
you got,
certain flyways.
You got New York, you got Chicago.
Correct.
Yeah,
Two
make
totally
a
different
little, do a little
flyways,
summary.
two
And then
totally
explain to
different
these
DU
guys
initiatives.
We're hunting the Mississippi flyway.
what they can hunt in
Flyway is
Arkansas,
the, like,
Chicago,
the
and in New York.
Their
migration
path
route.
that they correct.
Yeah, it's broad geographies within which certain populations of birds have a tendency to migrate along. It dates back probably close to 100 years now, and scientists have been studying this for a long, long time. They would band birds. We didn't shoot a banded bird today. It'd been
Well,
cool.
time
It
out.
would have, yeah.
Do you know what a banded bird is?
So look at all
Look
these
at
silver
those
things
bands
behind you.
back there.
Cameras, you can't see it, but we
Okay,
got some bands
but
behind us.
Do you guys know what that is? And we're gonna pop something on the screen. So this is a banded bird. If you've never
It's
seen
like a
one,
necklace, a
Yeah.
puka shell.
So that's a lanyard
That's
that
a
you wear.
lanyard,
A
and
lot of
there's little
hunters, like I don't
silver
know if y'all saw
ring.
me, Casey, and Dr. Mike, anybody that had a lanyard with
So
some
there's one
band.
on that
The
speckled
little
belly
bitty
goose over
silver band.
Yes, I
That's
was
a
gonna
way
ask.
for us to track in a certain standpoint of where a duck was banded, where it was harvested, and they can gather
year it was
data to
born.
help. But there's also there's transmitters that got and that.
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
short, when you shoot a banded duck, you can go on a website, type in the numbers, and it's gonna say when it hatched.
You'll get a certificate
where,
from the USGS.
where it
Right
was
there.
from,
Where
and
it's
then you'll
been.
type in your location,
Where it was
and
banned.
Yeah.
Correct.
you can get a certificate that you can have
Yeah.
printed out. So
all the
it's really
info.
cool. That's why they have them also mounted.
It's a
because
trophy. It's a little trophy.
to have, you know,
Data. It's data.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Data.
What I'm
Data,
saying
no.
is, when I
Data.
say a trophy, a lot of hunters collect those. It's a keepsake. Of course, it's data. That's what we use to gather more information for waterfowl. But it's also like if we shot one or you guys shot one, like we would go nuts because like that's a really really accomplishment. If you kill one, I've been hunting for 10, 15 years, and I've probably seen 20, 30 killed, and I hunt all the time, right? So it's not a very common thing. But back
So let
to
me
our
go back.
flyways.
Let me go back to the concept of migration. Most of the birds that we have in North America, most of the species of birds we have in North America are what we call migratory. They'll go somewhere during the summer months to breed. In the northern hemisphere, they breed in the summer, and then they'll fly somewhere south. Oftentimes, it's generally south. They'll go east, west a little bit during the fall and winter as weather conditions become inclement at northern latitudes. So it's this seasonal migration to and from locations. And if you kind of put yourself mentally back 100 years or so, if you're up in, let's say, Canada, and you've got all these birds in the summer, and then all of a sudden November, December rolls around, the birds are all gone. Instinctively, you're going to be like, where the heck did all these birds go, right? And so, I mean, there's a whole lot more to it than that. But people were interested in studying the ecology ecology of these species, and they began to ask the question, how can we figure out where these birds are going? And this was a long time ago before we had any of the modern technologies. So that's where the concept of these little bands came into play. Frederick Lincoln's famous biologist from way back in the day first started, well, actually there's probably others that did too before him, but they started banding these birds, putting these little rings on the leg, and then they would, with a little inscription or something, and then when the bird is harvested or found dead in some other location, then there was developed this system where people could report this banded bird that they recovered, let's say in Arkansas or Florida or Texas, and then you could see where it was banded. So you can figure out where it was recovered and where it was banded. So you get these 2 points, and from an entire long collection of number of years of collecting that data, you began to learn about these 4 major migratory flyways here in North America, and there are flyways like this in other parts of the country as well. Just general pathways where birds tend to migrate through based on where they are during the breeding season. And so we have the Atlantic Flyway, the far east coast. We have the Mississippi Flyway, which encompasses states, let's say, from Ohio west to Minnesota and south. And then we have the Central Flyway, which captures the Dakotas over to Montana, south down to Texas. And then the Pacific Flyway, basically everything west of the Continental Divide. So those are the 4 major flyways. Now, it's not just waterfowl that migrate. And so here's another little interesting tidbit, and then we'll kind of move on. You can ask me other questions if you want. So most of the waterfowl in North America are migratory. Some aren't. This bird right here, black-bellied whistling duck, is one it's kind of migratory. It's becoming resident in some locations. But a lot of the other songbirds, robins, blue jays, cardinals not so much, meadowlarks, give me some other common birds, a lot of the sparrows, they're all hawks, raptors. What'd you say? Pigeons, maybe not so much pigeons.
Pigeons in New York. I know one bird, dude.
What's that? Doves, blackbirds,
Mockingbird.
Chickadees?
mockingbirds can be
bird. A chickapee? Or
Chickadee. Familiar with that? I mean, I could throw some warbler names at you, but we may not know exactly what.
A chickadee.
Chickadee.
He said a chickadee. Here we go. Oriole, like
Oriole,
a Baltimore
yeah.
Oriole. There we go. That's a great example.
We can't be talking over each other either.
So, like a Baltimore Oriole. So, those birds will breed in the north, but then some of those birds, songbirds, will migrate all the way south to Central and South America. Most of the ducks that we're hunting right now will come down to the southern U.S. Some will go into Mexico. Blue-winged teals, smaller species we haven't really seen much of here or talked much about, but they'll go into Central America, South America a little bit, into the Caribbean. There's a lot of different species of waterfowl in North America, and it's interesting enough for people like me to make a career out of studying them. So it's pretty cool.
As you can tell, he's really smart. He knows a lot. So, pretty much, isn't that really cool? There's 4 flyaways you can do. They're different species of ducks.
I can picture it.
Like, you guys can go just back to Chicago and shoot ducks. It's out of season now, but in the East Coast, probably out of season too. But next year, you guys are certified, so you guys can hunt anywhere for the rest of your life now.
Why do y'all?
For the rest of my life?
For the rest of your life. You don't have to take that test anymore.
Yeah, you're certified.
Just buy your license.
You got to buy your license every year.
Yeah.
You got to do the harvest information program. We did the HIP certification. That's another little thing that you got to do.
Buy your license.
Why I'm gonna quiz y'all here, okay? Why do y'all think it is called the Mississippi Flyway?
Because it's centered around the Mississippi River.
Boom.
Come on, you got to get.
Oh no!
Questions got to be hard on that.
Wrong
Sorry.
I was totally gonna get that right too.
So we're on the Mississippi Flyway, correct?
Yeah.
So a lot of those birds will fly along the Mississippi River because, of course, there's water, and a lot of that water is off into fields for ag purposes and whatnot. And also the Mississippi Louisville Valley is a 24.7 million complex area of where a lot of, I'm right on that. I'm right. 24.7 million. Yeah. So 24.7 million complex. It's that so just imagine 24.7 million acres, right? That the Mississippi Louisville Valley And a lot of that, the original flooding, right? So the Mississippi River would come up, it would flood into the ag fields, it would flood into hardwoods, natural flooding, what God intended, right? Well, a lot of that has been diminished, whether it be from levees, whether it be people have came in, destroyed a lot of the timber, made ag fields for farming purposes, ag purposes, whatever that might be. So a lot of that, and I think it's changed a little bit, but at one point, 80% of that had been diminished, the original flooding. So DU has gone back in, and I'm sure this has changed again. So this is not, we've restored a percentage of that back to natural flooding. So it's really neat. I love hunting. I've hunted a bunch of the different flyways, but the Mississippi flyway is really cool, and that's what y'all have gotten to hunt. So a lot of those birds will follow the Mississippi flyway down due to the Mississippi River. So that was my question to y'all. Y'all both nailed it.
Yeah.
So great job
I
on
was
that.
going to get it wrong. For being
You were
honest
going
here.
to get it
What
right.
were you going to
I was going
say?
to say the state of Mississippi, which would have been a weird answer considering
Heck
we're
yeah,
in
let's
Arkansas.
Well, that's okay.
You know what?
Mississippi's below
Not-
Arkansas, right?
that's
You know,
fine.
we're all three from Mississippi.
That's what it was. That was on my
Totally
brain.
fine.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I want to follow up on with Matt is that we talked about the conversion of the historical 24.7 million
Correct. Good
acre.
job.
Yeah. Bottomland hardwoods, the Mississippi alluvial valley. Matt's right. A significant portion of that was converted to agricultural uses. One of the things that we value in really all geographies is this gets to the private land aspect of it. All of that agriculture is in some way or another, it's privately owned, right? And so one of the major focuses of Ducks Unlimited is through our working land programs.
Yep.
You know, we work with private landowners, many of whom are farmers or ranchers.
Yep.
We talked, I think, earlier today about the three geographies where most of the rice is grown: the Mississippi Alluvial Valley, the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana, and the Central Valley of California. And we work closely with the agricultural producers in those areas to make sure that they, especially with rice, that they keep that agriculture on the ground, because the good thing about rice, there's a lot of grain left out after harvest. The infrastructure is in place to make it easy to flood those rice fields, because rice is a crop that's grown in flooded conditions, right? So it's a crop that is it's just awesome for waterfowl, to put it plainly. Ranchers throughout many of those prairie states, most waterfowl that we hunted, these dabblers, are ground nesters. That would have been a little quiz. Do you think they nest in the tree or they nest on the ground? Most waterfowl nest on the ground. There are some cavity nesters, nest in cavities in trees, but most of them are ground nesters. They nest in grass. And so what's good for cattle is good for ducks. And so we work closely with ranchers in some of those landscapes. And so, we think about the historical conversion of some of those native habitats for agricultural uses. We have to be honest. We all need food, fiber, fuel to live as a society, right? And so it is our one of the things that we love doing as an organization is trying to find those mutually beneficial solutions for wildlife, waterfowl in our situation, and the farmers and ranchers that own those land and are stewards of those lands, to ensure that their bottom line is as profitable as can be, while also enhancing the benefits of those lands for wildlife and waterfowl. And it is amazing how many, that's one of the most rewarding parts of a conservation organization, is when you can work productively with a private landowner who owns that land and has to earn a living
on that land,
yep. And that we can find those solutions that are beneficial all the way around. That's super rewarding.
So Kaysen is a prime example of that. We passed going to skeet shoot. I wish I would have pointed out to y'all a little bit more, but we passed some trees, and that was actually a CRP, which is a conservation reserve program that a lot of these landowners will. They're not giving up their land, but they are to a standpoint to help come in and plant trees to better benefit wildlife. So a lot of and of course that's a program, and the ranchers or the farmers, they'll receive benefits as well. But essentially they are giving up a part of that to help conserve wildlife. So there's all kinds of programs that these, conservationists will try to, receive. And Kaysen's a prime example of that here at Bill Bauer. So like Dr. Mike, just to hit on that one more time, like Dr. Mike said, is without private landowners and also public land, I'm not saying just private, Ducks Unlimited, we can't do what we do. So, kudos to those guys.
I'm gonna go check the rendering
So something that's
facts.
cool that I think we could do. I don't know when you're going to be in Chicago, but before springtime comes, so a lot of people, what they do is they make wood duck boxes. So wood duck boxes is you like hang on the trees, or mostly the trees, or you make big stakes with like metal underneath so raccoons can't climb up and eat the eggs. So you use like protectors pretty much, because the raccoons and possums or whatever, or snakes will get up there and eat the eggs. So it declines the population.
We'll
So
send you a wood duck box plan.
my grandpa
can
and
build
I
it.
make wood duck boxes, and a lot of people do that. They make homemade wood duck boxes, or they buy wood duck boxes, or whatnot, and then you put straw on them, and then also help me. I'm blanking, but you know when the hens take off their
They shed.
when they preen.
yeah, and that's what they like for their eggs.
Yeah, they'll use feathers as well to help with
But you know what I'm
nesting.
talking about.
Yeah.
So
They preen themselves.
they use their own, like their feathers and stuff to
To
make sure
help
the
nest.
nest to make it warm. But we can do that in Chicago.
It would be really
Or,
neat.
And
Something for y'all
there's
to
like
do.
golf courses around where I live. I golf at Contigny in Naperville, or it's Warrenville, and there's wood duck boxes. You can look for them on, like, if you see ponds, some golf courses will put like wood duck boxes up for the ducks.
Oh, nice.
I'm
Wood
down.
duck.
So that's what we're gonna do. So guys, Barstool Outdoors, I guess in Ducks Unlimited, maybe they'll fly out to Chicago.
Yes.
But we will make wood duck boxes, and we should all go do that.
Yes.
I
And do a
wish
recap.
y'all.
I'll consider it.
Consider it. It'll
No, I
be
will.
fun.
Donnie draws the line of construction.
Yeah, construction projects. No, I would consider it. I think
But wood ducks are a really cool duck. I wish we could have shot one this morning.
we
They're
just-
they're
I don't
very
even know if
popular.
we saw one.
I know that I didn't, or if I did, I didn't recognize it. But a wood duck is a really cool bird. It's a bird that's popular around this area.
Where do you think it lives? What
Yeah.
habitat do you think it occupies?
We're
Time
not
out.
even
The Great
there yet,
Plains.
Dr.
Hold
Mike.
on, he's got
You're
it. Back
telling me
up.
these wood duck boxes aren't made of wood. I thought we're saying we're making a wood box.
No, for
For
a
a
duck.
duck.
No,
We
this
are.
duck is called a wood duck.
But that's the actual
but-
duck
but
is called a wood
species
duck.
you have to
Yeah.
construct a box.
And the thing
Yes.
is, the box is made out of wood.
Because they'll
Yes.
find hollow.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll
You
find,
make a
like,
wood duck
hollow
box with a wood
holes
box.
and trees, but it's not that safe because like raccoons and predators will go up there and eat their eggs.
I was thinking it was a wood duck box, not a wood duck.
It is.
box.
But it is.
But it's a wood
But
duck
it is
box.
a
wood duck box.
Wood box.
It's both. All right.
Yeah.
But okay.
You guys are learning a lot of things here.
Correct.
I know
Yes,
it's
Schrodinger's
there's a
like,
duck
lot going
box.
on.
I know it's like a lot all at once, but it's fun, and I'm just really happy you guys are
But-
enjoying it.
to back to Dr. Mike's point is how he said a minute ago, most waterfowl are ground nesters, but some are cavity nesters. Wood ducks are one of those species that do that. I'm about to show this crazy story one time. I kid you not. So one time I was waterfowl hunting. I was super young. I was with my dad and my brother. We walked back to the truck. We were hunting a small river in Mississippi. I kid you not, craziest thing. One of the craziest things I've ever seen duck hunting. No doubt. Okay, so we're back on the road, okay? Like, not in an area that we would just see a duck flying. So anyway, we get back to the truck, we're sitting there, and we look up, and we're like, hey, look at that duck. I kid you not, a duck's flying. This hen is going Mach 90, right?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about just on a beeline. And I'm like, what is she doing? I was like, what's this hen doing? I kid you not, there's this tree, and she just goes, I'm like, she's about to kill herself. She's committing suicide here. And she goes, just disappears straight into this hole of this tree. And I was like, whoa. I didn't even know ducks would go in trees at this point. Like
Yeah.
this, I was a kid, and I'm just like, what in the world? Like, so it was the most bizarre. Just imagine this. It was a dead tree, okay, and it looked like a woodpecker hole, like literally, where a woodpecker I don't even know how the hole got there, but this hen duck, I'll never forget, just 90 miles an hour, just whoom, right into this small hole, and I'm just like, no way this has happened. So
That was her
sounds
nest.
like a lot like the caves they use in Fast and Furious 9.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
So I'm
How
going
they
to quiz
get
you.
from Mexico
Okay,
to
quiz
the
me.
U.S.
But
Tom Toretto
I'm
knows.
always just like really curious what your response is going to be to all these knowledgeable like statements.
It's usually Fast and Furious based.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious. I'm all for it. I love it.
So I was going to quiz Matt. Name another species that's a cavity nester.
A cavity nester.
A woodpecker.
Can I phone a friend?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna for sure swallow my pride right here, and this is a prime example of I even still learn, right? So I don't know another cavity nester that
Guess.
don't-
Why don't you just guess?
because
you better,
Pigeon.
Wait, all right. So
that's not a waterfowl. That's
a
not
prairie
waterfowl.
dog.
That's not a duck.
Technically,
We got some work to do.
It nests in a cavity.
It's not a duck. It's
I
not a
know,
duck.
but it's a
Okay.
cavity nest.
Hooded merganser.
So, what is it, Mallard?
Hooded merganser.
Mallory's got it. Hooded merganser.
Really?
Yes. Hooded merganser will nest in the cavity. Yeah.
name.
Golden eyes.
Bufflehead.
Buffleheads will.
Buffleheads.
Golden eye will.
Yep, golden eyes.
barrows.
What is
Golden eye.
what?
There's
will
about
they
40.
get?
There's about 42,
When you-
43.
Okay, wait.
When you say a cavity, are you talking
Pop up on
about
the
cavity in
screen.
the ground? Will they also get in boxes?
No,
and-
no. Cavity. When I say cavity, I'm talking about on a tree.
Okay.
Dead tree
Okay,
or a wood
I
duck
got you.
or a duck box.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing though with them?
With what? Hooded merganser?
Yeah, say hooded merganser.
Absolutely.
We're getting
Wow.
Black
lost
belly
here.
whistling duck.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're also
Hooded
duck
merganser.
buster. That duck right
Actually,
there.
whistling
Hooded
ducks.
merganser?
Yeah.
Are you going to eat your wonton?
Oh, well, no, because I don't. It's going to make a really loud, annoying crunch.
do
to
it.
the mic, okay.
Let's see it.
Well, can everybody
That
get
sounded good.
That is a
sounded
satisfying crunch.
Can I have a bite?
Oh, gone.
Oh man.
There
Okay.
have been so many firsts on
Oh
this
my
trip.
gosh! Yeah, and before
other
we go,
thing-
I just want to ask
say-
you. Yeah, go ahead.
One
I
other
was gonna
thing I
ask you
really
guys.
loved being able to work with a dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went truffle hunting once. That was the only other experience I've had where you're kind of working, you and a dog are on the same team and you have the same goal and you're working together to make it happen. And it's a cool experience.
Absolutely. We hadn't even talked about the dog. What
We
was
should- yeah.
the dog work yet? Rock was the dog's
Rock.
name. 10 months old.
10 months. Young. That's young.
We haven't even really talked about how successful we were with the hunt. A wonderful hunt. The birds worked great. Weather was great. Had the wind perfect at our back. And the other thing the sun was out early on, but then the clouds rolled in, and we still had great bird work. And that's a little bit unusual.
I want y'all to tell the camera and the listeners what species we killed.
Pigeon.
No.
We did not kill. We did not kill pigeons.
I take it all
we did
back.
not kill
Take it
pigeons.
all back.
Please put that on the screen.
Okay. What do y'all remember?
Pigeon's got a green head, dude.
So we
It
killed
was
three
a mallard.
we killed 3 species.
Yep.
Okay, you're correct. Ding ding ding.
What'd you say?
Mallard
We're
was
talking.
mostly-
Mallard was
We almost got that prize duck, which
a
was
pintail. Quick now.
pintail.
So
Almost
we're
got that.
we're talking or whatever. It was towards the end of the hunt. I turn around, y'all, and there is this. This pintail was the biggest pintail I've ever seen. His sprig was this long. There was another pintail behind it. He almost poked that one's eye out with this sprig. It was so long. Just a monster of a pintail. And all of us, no guns in our hands. We're just, hey, look at that.
I had a gun in
Perfect.
my hand. I couldn't get it.
Didn't get the pintail. Okay,
Lined
so
up in
you're
time.
right. 1 for 1. Mallard.
Gimme.
What's that?
A brown nose.
A brown nose, bro. Brown nose.
A brown. No, wrong. 1 for 2.
No? Dude, you set
okay,
me up.
little
Yeah,
assistance.
I don't
Let's go a little assistance here from Sid. Sid, what we
Spoonbill.
Spoonbill,
Shoveler.
Shoveler, Smiling Mallard,
Shoveler.
Hollywood.
Okay, I remember shoveler.
Oh, so a smiling
Mallard,
mallard and a
correct.
mallard are not the same species.
Got a mallard. A mallard.
Okay.
So smiling mallard, shoveler. Ducks have a lot of nicknames,
Yep.
right? So there's the official common name, there's the official scientific name, but then there's all sorts of all
Oh, right.
sorts
We
of
had a
nicknames.
Hollywood.
A Hollywood.
Yeah.
There's a smiling
Hollywood,
mallard,
yeah.
Hollywood. Oh, or as our good friend Ed Wall likes to call them, Rams.
Rams. A ram.
Shout out to
All right,
Ed.
so there's 2. We lack 1 species that we
I don't even think they would know because I didn't even know we shot.
No, I don't even think we said it. I don't even think we pointed it out. It's a
Gadwall.
a gadwall.
No, it's gadwall.
I think we shot one or 2.
I think we shot.
Couple?
Yeah. So
3?
So we had a really good day.
But
And we shot about 24
20, yeah.
ducks, different
Bunch of
mixed
mallards.
bag, mostly mallards. The guys had a wonderful, amazing, fantastic, all the great adjectives.
Yes.
Description? Yeah. They're spoiled. Like it's
That's
hard.
what-
that was my
Amazing.
next
They're,
point. Is
they're spoiled, but it's great though. 'Cause I'm glad you guys are spoiled because this was awesome.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great to go out there, and the next time you go, you probably won't fire a
You may
gun
not
or see a
pull
duck,
And
but
I'll
you
resent
know.
all of you.
and-
yeah.
We
You'll
still
sell your-
have one more day tomorrow.
one more day.
Yeah.
One more day.
And I mentioned a minute ago there were so many firsts on this day alone. One of which I never thought I would see. Last night, you walked in with a tie on. Coming to duck camp. I'm sure other people have come to a duck camp with a tie on before. I don't know of anyone
All
that
right.
has worn a tie
In the duck hole.
in the duck hole.
And then Jack,
That was awesome.
here we go. Throw it on the screen. And we're back.
It was. I came from. I want to be clear. It was something that was on my mind the entire time I was wearing a tie on the way here.
Salmon-colored tie at that.
Salmon tie, yeah. And it was. I was on the plane and I was like, I could get undressed right now. I could change. And then I thought, let's just see what happens. And
Did you think that, or you're just like?
Yeah, I thought about it on the plane. I thought about it in the back of the car when you guys commented on the tie when I pulled up, and I stuck to it. I was like, I'm just gonna keep wearing this tie.
We were in the middle of Arkansas in the gas station, and I'm like, look at this guy, look at this girl.
Now it's
look at
good
this
luck.
guy.
To be fair,
yeah, it looks like a Feitelberg.
I did mention that my knowledge of hunters started and ended with Elmer Fudd, and that's not quite true because I've seen Peaky Blinders, and shout out Nick Hamilton, the producer of KFC Radio. He brought up the great point that is how they dress when they hunt in Peaky Blinders.
Absolutely.
So,
well,
I kinda was really like an original hunter, like back in the day.
I mean, you're bringing it back.
I'm just really about it.
A British hunter.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
North
let you know that
I believe they're hunting
model.
foxes dressed like that.
if
as well.
you don't show up
the fox
tomorrow,
hunts,
if you don't show up tomorrow with that tie on, you're not going.
Oh,
That's
it's,
good
it's
luck.
hanging on the side of the bed. Don't
Okay.
you worry. Right
As
next
long
to all
as
my
that's clear.
camo, salmon tie.
As long as we're
Like a
clear on
standard
that.
hunter.
So
Shout out to Jack.
yeah, Jack's behind the
Oh
camera.
yeah,
Jack.
the man with the plan.
Jack is
Yeah, Jack's waving.
Jack's behind the camera.
Throw a picture of Jack.
Jack Rolandi has been a part of Barstool Outdoors. He's actually just got full time, so
and he's a waterfowl hunter.
He's a big waterfowl hunter. He's got a lot of experience, so it's a lot of fun to hunt with Jack. He knows more than me about waterfowl, and I teach him a thing or two about deer hunting. So it's fun. We kind of go back and forth.
Also shout out to Kaysen
Absolutely.
and
Casey.
Kyle and our fabulous cook.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're having a great time. So that being said, we're gonna wrap this up. We are out an hour, and we have an early morning tomorrow. So if you're watching, thanks for watching Barstool Outdoors. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening, thanks for watching the Ducks Unlimited podcast. Make sure if you want to listen, go to that. If you want to watch, come to us. We had a great time. We're so thankful you guys came out. I'm sure you guys are going to
Ducks
come.
Unlimited.
Want to do it again?
Yeah. Every time you ask, I'm in.
Sydney.
And there's only one way
Thanks
to
so
end
much.
this.
Yes.
There's only one way to end this right. How about you lead us in the song?
There's no wrong way to wrap a wonton. There's no wrong way to wrap a goose. There's no wrong way to wrap a wonton. There's no wrong way to wrap a goose. Boom, boom, boom. All right, there we
Thank
go.
you very much.
That is
guys,
awesome.
again.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the DU Podcast, sponsored by Purina Pro Plan, the official performance dog food of Ducks Unlimited. Purina Pro Plan, always advancing. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit ducks.org/DU Podcast. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of Ducks Unlimited. Until next time, stay tuned to the Ducks.